You know, sometimes I sit here on my porch with a cup of coffee, scrolling through my grandkids' phones, and I can't help but smile, or maybe sigh, I don't even know. Everything's so different now. Photos, messages, music, all just a tap away. But back then, before phones, before the internet, before we had a clue what Wi-Fi even meant, school was something else entirely, and I don't mean that in a bad way. It was real. It was alive. Let me take you back, okay? It was 1973. I was 16, and my hair had more curls than patience. We didn't have phones buzzing in our pockets. Heck, the only thing that buzzed was the classroom fan when it was about to die. Ha 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 ha. And the only notifications we got were when Mrs. Simmons, our English teacher, smacked her ruler on the desk and said, "Eyes up front, people." We didn't wake up to alarms on our phones. No, ma'am. We had alarm clocks that rang like fire alarms. Half the time, I'd jump out of bed thinking the house was on fire. And when you missed the bus, you really missed it. There was no texting mom to come get you. You either ran or you walked. And let me tell you, walking 3 miles in Ohio winter was not fun. School mornings were chaotic, mom yelling from the kitchen, "Linda, grab your lunchbox." While I tried to find my other shoe, my brother, Tom, would steal my toast and run out laughing, and I'd chase him down the driveway, still half asleep. But once we got to school, everything felt alive. There was this buzz in the hallways, not from screens, but from people actually talking, laughing, whispering secrets, passing folded notes that said things like, "Meet me at lunch by the bleachers." You remember that, right? If you ever lived before phones, you know that magic. Classes were a whole different world. We didn't Google answers. We went to the library and prayed the right book wasn't already taken. And oh, the smell of those books, old paper, ink and dust. It was like a perfume of the past. I used to sit by the window, watching sunlight spill across the desks, trying to listen but drifting off into my own daydreams. You know, I think I fell in love for the first time during one of those boring history lectures. Haha, yeah. His name was Daniel Cooper. He sat 2 rows behind me and had the most ridiculous dimples I'd ever seen. Now, you couldn't just text your crush back then. No. You had to wait for the right moment. The hallway after lunch, maybe a glance across the classroom, or, if you were brave, a little handwritten note folded into a perfect triangle. One day, he actually slipped one onto my desk. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely unfold it. It said, "You have the prettiest smile in school." Oh my God, I nearly fainted. We didn't have selfies, but we had Polaroids. Blurry, crooked, sometimes missing half your face. But they felt real. You had to wait for the picture to develop, waving it in the air like it was a magic trick. And when it finally appeared, we'd all scream, "Oh my God, look at that!" Haha, simpler times, right? Recess was wild. No one sat staring at screens. We played. Jump rope, tag, dodgeball, hopscotch. If you got hit by the ball, you didn't post about it. You just rubbed your arm and jumped right back in. And lunch breaks? Oh, those were the best. We'd sit on the grass, sharing sandwiches and secrets, swapping cookies, pretending we weren't jealous of whoever had the fancy peanut butter brand. I remember one day, it started raining during lunch, and instead of running for cover, we all just danced in it. Our books got soaked, our hair was a mess, and we laughed until our stomachs hurt. The teachers yelled, "Get inside!" But none of us listened. It was one of those small, rebellious moments that somehow stays with you forever. Life back then felt slower, but fuller. When school ended for the day, we didn't go home to watch videos or scroll for hours. We'd walk to the corner store, buy a soda for 25 cents, and sit outside talking for hours about absolutely nothing. But it meant everything. And you know what the best part was? When you said goodbye to your friends, that was it until tomorrow. No late-night texting, no seen messages. You just waited. And that waiting made friendships deeper, conversations more meaningful. Every little thing mattered more because nothing was instant. Looking back now, I think we didn't just go to school. We lived it. Every day was a story, every friend a memory. And even though we didn't have phones or the internet, we had something I sometimes feel this generation has lost. Connection. Real connection. Sometimes I wish my grandkids could experience just one day of it. The way the hallways smelled, the sound of chalk on the blackboard, the thrill of passing a note, the warmth of real laughter. Because before phones and the internet, school wasn't just about learning facts. It was about feeling alive, you know. Thinking back, those high school years in the late 70s were wild in their own quiet way. We didn't have phones or internet, but somehow, news still spread faster than a sneeze in a classroom. Ha ha ha. One person whispered something in first period, and by lunchtime, the whole school knew. That's how it went the day Daniel Cooper, yes, the same boy with the dimples, asked me to the spring dance. Oh Lord, I can still remember that flutter in my chest. I was walking down the hallway with my friend Susan, holding my books tight to my chest, pretending not to care. And suddenly, he just appeared by the lockers, all nervous and fidgety. He said, "Linda, you, want to go to the dance with me?" And I swear my brain froze. My heart said yes, but my mouth forgot how to work. After what felt like an hour, I finally squeaked out, "Sure." Susan screamed right there in the hallway. She said yes. And everyone turned around. I wanted to crawl into my locker. Ha ha ha. But deep down, I was floating. Now, the thing about those days, if you wanted a dress for the dance, you didn't order it online. You went downtown, tried on every single one in the store, and prayed it fit because tailoring wasn't cheap. Mom came with me, of course. We found this pale pink dress with lace sleeves. I remember spinning in front of the mirror, and Mom said, "You look just like your sister did on her prom night." That hit me. My sister Mary had passed away 2 years earlier in a car accident, so when Mom said that, her voice cracked just a little. I didn't say anything, just hugged her tight. The night of the dance. Oh, it was magic. The gym was decorated with paper lanterns and glitter that stuck to everything for weeks. The record player kept skipping, but nobody cared. We danced like our lives depended on it. No phones, no selfies, just moments. Pure, imperfect, unforgettable moments. Daniel spun me around, and I remember thinking, I never want this night to end. After the dance, he walked me home. The streetlights buzzed softly, and the air smelled like spring rain. We talked about everything, movies, college, life, and when he leaned in to kiss me goodnight, my heart nearly burst right out of my chest. It wasn't a movie-perfect kiss, but it was real, honest. The next few months felt like living inside a dream. We'd meet before class, pass notes that said things like, "Can't wait to see you at lunch." We didn't have texting, but we had waiting, and that waiting made every word sweeter. But, like every teenage story, things weren't always perfect. One afternoon, I saw Daniel talking to another girl by the bleachers. They were laughing, and something inside me twisted. I know it sounds silly now, but back then, heartbreak felt like the end of the world. I went home and cried into my pillow, listening to my dad's old radio play Yesterday by the Beatles. The next day, Daniel came to find me. He said, "Linda, I wasn't doing anything wrong. I was just helping her with her math homework." I laughed through my tears and said, "You better not be that good at math again." He grinned and said, "I'll be bad at it forever, just for you." Oh, that boy, but time changes everything. By senior year, Daniel's family moved away. His dad got a job in another state. The day he told me, we sat behind the school near the football field. The sun was setting, and I could feel it. That ache of knowing something good was slipping away. He handed me a folded piece of paper and said, "So you don't forget me." Inside was a Polaroid of us at the dance, and on the back he'd written, "No phones, no messages. But I'll always remember you. I still have that picture, you know. Faded, edges curled. Every time I find it in my old scrapbook, I can almost hear the record player, see the glitter, and feel 16 again." After Daniel left, school felt different. The halls were the same, but everything sounded quieter. I threw myself into my studies, joined the art club, spent hours painting after class. Art became my escape. It was like talking to myself without needing words. One day, Mrs. Simmons, yes, the same strict English teacher with the ruler, stopped by the art room. She said, "Linda, you've got something special. Don't waste it." Funny how one sentence can stay with you your whole life. That year taught me more than any textbook ever could. It taught me about love, loss, resilience, and how to keep going even when your heart feels heavy. You know what's strange? Back then, when something hurt, you couldn't distract yourself with screens or scroll your feelings away. You had to sit with it. You had to feel it. And because of that, we learned how to heal, slowly but deeply. When I tell my grandkids these stories, they look at me like I'm talking about another planet. "Grandma, how did you survive without Wi-Fi?" they ask. And I just laugh and say, "Sweetheart, we didn't just survive, we lived." You know, when senior year ended, I remember standing on that football field in my graduation gown, staring at the sky and thinking, wow, it's really over. The sun was bright, the grass smelled like summer, and everyone was laughing, hugging, signing each other's yearbooks. I didn't even realize it then. But that was the last time we'd all be together. The last time before life started pulling us in 100 different directions. I still remember my best friend Susan yelling, "Linda! Don't you dare cry or I'll start too." And of course, I cried anyway. Ha 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 ha. We were just kids trying to hold on to a world that was already changing. After graduation, I went to a small community college not too far from home. It wasn't anything fancy, but I loved it. I worked part-time at a diner, serving coffee and pancakes to regulars who called me sweetheart. It was a simpler world, you know? No one took pictures of their food, no one cared about followers or filters. People just talked. Sometimes, when the diner was quiet, I'd catch myself doodling little sketches on napkins, the same way I used to draw in Mrs. Simmons' class. Art still felt like home to me. One day my boss, a sweet old man named George, saw my napkin drawings and said, "You ever think about doing this for real?" That's how I ended up applying for an art scholarship. And somehow, by some miracle, I got it. That was the first time I realized, even without fancy technology or connections, dreams still found their way to you. If you worked hard enough. But life, oh, it's never just sunshine and smiles. Around that time, my dad got sick. Real sick. We didn't have online health records or Google to tell us what was wrong. We just had doctors, prayers, and hope. I spent every evening at the hospital, sketching in the waiting room, trying to hold myself together. When he passed, I was 22. I remember walking out of that hospital into the cold night, feeling like the world had gone silent. No text messages of comfort, no social media tributes, just me standing there trying to breathe. And yet somehow that silence was sacred. It gave me space to grieve, to think, to feel. It's strange to say this, but I think that's what I miss most about the world before phones and internet, the space. The stillness, the way you could actually miss someone, really ache for them, instead of filling every second with noise. Years went by, and the world started changing fast. Computers came, then cell phones, and before we knew it, everyone was staring down instead of looking up. I still remember the first time I saw a cell phone. It was the size of a brick. Ha 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 ha. We thought it was the coolest thing ever, but soon enough, those little screens started taking over everything. One day I went back to my old high school. They'd remodeled it, put up new buildings, security cameras, even smart boards. Kids walked past me with earbuds in, laughing at something on their phones. Nobody was looking at each other. Nobody was passing notes or drawing doodles in the margins of their notebooks. It broke my heart a little. I peeked into the art room, my old sanctuary. It looked different, shinier, but empty somehow. There was a girl sitting in the corner, sketching on a tablet. I smiled and said, "That's beautiful." She looked up, a bit surprised, and said, "Thanks. I'm using this new drawing app." And I thought, wow, even art found its way into the digital world. Later, I sat in my car, holding that old Polaroid Daniel had given me years ago. The edges were fading, the image barely visible, but when I looked at it, I saw everything. The dance, the laughter, the pink dress, my mom's smile, my dad's steady hands, the friends I'd lost touch with, the girl I used to be, and I realized maybe the world had changed. But those memories, they were mine. No phone could store them, no cloud could hold them. They lived right here, in me. You know, sometimes my grandkids roll their eyes when I start one of these back-in-my-day stories. But I keep telling them anyway. I tell them about paper notes and rotary phones, about calling your best friend and hoping she was home, about running through sprinklers on summer afternoons, no cameras, no posts, just joy. I tell them that life before the internet wasn't perfect, but it was present. Every moment felt fuller because we weren't trying to capture it. We were just living it. And maybe that's what I want people to remember when they hear my story. That even without screens, without Wi-Fi, without all the noise, Life was still beautiful. Messy, slow, quiet, but beautiful. So if you're watching this and you're always scrolling, always rushing, maybe just stop for a second. Look around. Feel something. Because one day, you'll be my age, sitting in a cozy chair, holding your memories. And trust me, you'll want them to be real. She smiles softly. Anyway. That's what school was really like before phones and internet. It wasn't about grades or gadgets. It was about people, about laughter echoing through hallways, chalk dust on your hands, and hearts learning how to grow. And if I could go back, just for one more day, I would. Oh, I really would.